Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another episode of News Dose, where I give you all of the latest gaming news. And did the PlayStation 5 price really just leak online? There has been a lot of discussion over this most recent price leak, and if it's true, the PlayStation 5 is going to be rather expensive. The question though, is it true or not? And we're going to talk all about that here in just a moment. Also, that upcoming Ubisoft event is really starting to sound very exciting, so don't go anywhere because you're not going to want to miss that. First though, we have a lot to cover today, starting off with Marvel's Avengers. So the Avengers Reviews have started to roll out today, and it's currently sitting at a 72 overall score on Metacritic. Yeah, that's not exactly what you want to see with a big AAA game like this. Now, this isn't a terrible score per se, but for these type of big mainstream games, you want to see a better score here. And to nobody's surprise, this actually seems like it stems from the in-game economy. The Avengers, of course, has been surrounded by controversy for some very questionable decisions regarding this game. Not only did Square Enix choose to make a deal with PlayStation to make their most popular hero, Spider-Man, a PlayStation exclusive, but they have also been doing a lot of other microtransactions and paid DLC-related stuff. So from what I'm seeing is that the Avengers apparently is a relatively fun game, but they may have focused on that economy just a little too much, which takes away from the overall experience. Honestly, I'm not really too surprised by this, because this has been very obvious over the last couple months that they're going to do stuff like that. But I guess we'll have to wait and see if it pays off for them or not. Now it's all about how successful this game can be in terms of sales numbers. Avengers is a popular brand, so I guess we'll wait and see. Also, we got a new release date. Ys Origin will be heading to the Nintendo Switch on October 1st. Now this is actually a really good game, and one of the better Ys games. If you like RPGs, I would really recommend this one. It's a little bit more on the retro side, but don't let that stop you because this is a really fun game thanks to its combat and its very well designed boss encounters. It also fits perfectly on handheld mode in specific. With that said, the Switch really seems to be trending upward right now. It was just 2 days ago when we had no clue what was going to be releasing over the next couple months, but now we got a bunch of Mario games to play, Pikmin 3, and then you have these nice little games like Ys Origin coming to the Switch as well. So I think you should be able to find plenty of good Switch games to play throughout the holiday, and I'm sure more will be announced. Just make sure to buy those limited 3D Mario games because, you know, Nintendo decided to make that a limited release for whatever reason. Moving on though, I'm really excited about this next topic because one of the best games ever made, The Witcher 3, is getting a next generation upgrade, and it's completely free. The Witcher 3, in my mind, without a doubt, is the best RPG of this generation and arguably the best of all time, so to see it get a free upgrade for the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 is really great to hear. Now we can go back to this game and enjoy it with ray tracing and faster load times, and it just makes an already great game even better, and it keeps it from getting too outdated at the same time. So apparently this edition will be releasing as a standalone game for the Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and the PC. So if you don't own The Witcher 3 already, keep that in mind. It does include all of the DLC as well, which is fantastic, so this is just another reason to play The Witcher 3. And a big thank you to CD Projekt Red. They're now doing a free upgrade for both The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, and as we are seeing, not every developer is doing this. Both Control and Call of Duty Cold War is not giving away free upgrades, so kudos to CD Projekt Red. Now this next one really surprised me. So The Last of Us Part 2 has overtaken God of War and Final Fantasy VII Remake as the most completed PlayStation 4 game. In fact, 58% of people who has played The Last of Us Part 2 have finished the game. That is a little unexpected for multiple reasons. One being that The Last of Us Part 2 is a pretty long game. I mean, you're talking about 25 hours long. Now to be fair, Final Fantasy VII Remake is also going to take you around 30 hours to complete, and 53% of fans finished that game. So it's not unheard of for most people completing long games, but still this is rather impressive. The other reason that this is so surprising though is because The Last of Us Part 2 is more than just a little controversial. I mean, it reviewed really well, but fans did not seem to agree with these scores at all, or at least fans online. There were a lot of angry people over this game because of the decisions they made. There is a part very early in the game that people were frustrated with, and I've heard of people quitting the game right there, but it sounds like most continued on. I will ask you though, if you played The Last of Us Part 2, did you finish the game, and how did you like it? Let me know in the comments below. And since we are talking about the PlayStation, let's talk about the PlayStation 5 price. Now I'm going to preface, this is all unconfirmed, so take all of this with a grain of salt. The reason I'm talking about this leak today is because a lot of people seem to be taking it serious, because the website reporting this has leaked information in the past that was correct. They did leak Forza Horizon 4 LEGO DLC, as well as Far Cry 6 ahead of time, so there is that. On the other hand, the website leaking this information is named Xbox EGen, so it's interesting to see an Xbox-related website leak information about the PlayStation 5, so this is an odd leak all around. You do have a website that has a decent track record of accurate leaks, but still just take this one with a grain of salt is all I'm saying. With that said, they're claiming that their sources are saying that the PlayStation 5 will be €600 for the standard edition and €500 for the digital version. Yeah, that's not exactly cheap, and if true, it would also likely mean the price in the United States would be $600 and $500. Now right away, I have to look at that $100 difference between the digital and physical version, because I don't expect there to be a $100 difference. From my understanding, the only difference between the two is that the digital edition doesn't have a Blu-ray player, which is not all that expensive, so I was expecting about a $50 difference. Now maybe they decide to take a loss on the digital version, whereas the physical version sells for a profit, and that is very possible. And that's something I want people to keep in mind. I'm seeing a lot of fans kind of freak out over this $600 price tag, but if there is a $500 option, that's really not that bad for a new state-of-the-art console. We are seeing digital games rise as well, and Capcom just recently reported 80% of all of the games that they sold was digital. So I think it's completely viable to buy a digital-only console now, and I do expect digital games to continue that rise. I know some fans don't like the idea of digital games, and I completely understand that. I am a collector myself, and it was hard for me to make that jump to digital games, but ultimately I did, and I wouldn't have it any other way now. It's just very convenient not having to carry discs around and constantly swap them in and out. What I will say about these prices though, based off what we have been hearing, Xbox wants to undercut the PlayStation 5. So if Sony really does come out and announces these prices before Xbox talks, then Xbox very well could undercut these price points. So if this is true, it makes even more sense on why Sony is trying so hard to make Xbox announce the price first. They certainly do not want Xbox to have an advantage in both power and price. Let's focus on what we do know though. PlayStation boss Jim Ryan himself emphasized value over price for the PlayStation 5. We also know from a report earlier in this year that Sony was struggling with the PlayStation 5 price due to costly parts. So when you look at those things, it could come in at a premium price like this, but I still do want to give caution with this leak. We will see what happens, but I'll ask you, are you okay with these price points? And if they're true, would you buy the digital or physical version? Let me know in the comments below. And speaking of leaks, Ubisoft has had a very rough year. Pretty much the entire Ubisoft Forward conference leaked earlier this year, and that big Far Cry 6 surprise wasn't really too surprising as it leaked before the actual event. Well, it sounds like the exact same thing is happening right now. So something we have talked about on this channel on multiple occasions was a new Prince of Persia game. There was a new Prince of Persia domain registered earlier this year, which is really what drew my attention. But even after that, we started hearing about a Prince of Persia remaster. And now, Jason Schreier, which is one of the most reliable insiders, right now is claiming that a Prince of Persia remake will be showing up at the next Ubisoft event taking place on September 10th. And yes, you did hear that right. Not a remaster, but a remake. And there has been a lot of chirping over this within the last month or so, and it sounds like it could be a Sands of Time remake. Now, if you know me, I'm all up for these remakes. I don't really like remasters with just simple resolution boosts, but if you do a remake right, it's basically a new game that both old and new fans can enjoy. So that Ubisoft event may be worth paying attention to. That's not all though, because Immortals Phoenix Rising leaked on the Microsoft Store with pictures and a release date for December 3rd. And if that wasn't bad enough for Ubisoft, some new trademarks got filed today for Astro's Playground, Crisis Wars, which is interesting all on its own, Zone of the Enders, and the big one, Splinter Cell. But this is close related apparently. Do I find it strange though that Splinter Cell just got a new trademark a week ahead of the big Ubisoft event? I mean, that is quite the timing, and they're even doing a Splinter Cell Netflix show, so something seems to be happening with this franchise. Now, whether they're making a game or not, I'm not really sure. There are plenty of rumors out there that they're making a new Splinter Cell, and there was even a report that Oculus Studios was working on a VR Splinter Cell game. It really starts to make you wonder if they're actually going to announce a new Splinter Cell. Now, this could be nothing or some crossover with another franchise. We did see that in Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six Siege, so it's hard to tell if they're actually going to make a game or not, but I thought it was interesting at the very least. Nonetheless though, Ubisoft has a real problem with leaks because, once again with Immortals and the Prince of Persia remake, it looks like the Ubisoft event is slowly leaking out online. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.